Good afternoon. I am Kimberleigh Jordan. I am an independent scholar living in New York City and Atlanta. My research, writing, and training are in performance studies, and I work at the intersections of dance, religion, and Black studies. I'm currently completing an article entitled Make Me a Body, which is an historical analysis of 20th century Black liturgical dance in New York City for Oxford University Press Black Dance Studies Reader, edited by Dr. Thomas F. DeFrance. And I am so thankful for this invitation from Dr. Wimbush and the many invitations that he has offered over the years to expand my theorizing and analysis under his mentorship and friendship. In fact, some years ago, I had the opportunity to serve as a student assistant with Dr. Wimbush on the African Americans and the Bible project at Union Seminary. And that multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary project was a significant launching for me in the direction of performance studies. I'd come to seminary from the world of professional dance, having studied in scholarship at the School of the Dance Theater of Harlem and working, dancing with the Dance Theater of Harlem Workshop Ensemble. The learning environment that Dr. Wimbush established for all of us students in his courses and through the multi-year research project meant that my academic inquiries were worthwhile, they were validated. So in a New Testament class, I could ask a question to say, what about the bodies? What about the moving bodies? And in African Americans in the Bible, we could work together to imagine what an idea sounds like and feels like, looks like and moves like, especially in the quotidian flesh of everyday Black people. So this exhibition is just a magnificent materialization of so much work, teaching, writing, and convening that Wimbush has led through his thoughtfully persistent and collegial Institute of Signifying Scriptures. Among the panelists, I also have to say I may have the distinction of being the only one of us to participate in a ring shout with Vincent Wimbush. Some years ago, we co-taught a class together, a week intensive class, and on one of the class meetings, we were exploring improvisation and what improvisation meant in terms of the making of the spirituals, the production of the spirituals from community. So we invited a spiritual singer in, and with the class, we created our own spiritual and then attached it to a ring shout that we did there on the campus. So I think that is one of my specific distinctions in this crowd. And I'm going to keep it 100 to say that I am delighted to move through, even virtually, this exhibition that you have curated, Dr. Wimbush. The exhibition calls upon deep wells of Black performance material. So let us enter stage one, knowing the world through performance. And even at the doorway, the virtual doorway of the of stage one, we see the epigraph that Oluwadu offers us. And in part, he writes, "We are a nation of dancers, musicians, and poets. Thus, every great event, such as a triumphant return from battle or other cause of public rejoicing, is celebrated in public dances, which are accompanied with songs and music. We have many musical instruments, particularly drums of different kinds, though we had no places of worship," he says. "We had priests and musicians or wise men held in reverence by the people." And he completes this thought by saying, "the success of which no doubt they derived from their unbounded influence over the credulity and superstition of the people." So that epigraph is powerful. And though I have read and taught this book several times, it struck me in a new way this time. He describes, he conjures sights, sounds, rhythms, pulses, and collective moving flesh. This moving flesh can neither be wholly constituted as sacred or secular. So Oluwadu evokes Africanist understandings of a sacred cosmos in which all of life and performance exist. Rather than modernist binaries, the notion of the sacred cosmos of Africanist performance is contrary to modernist images and representational culture, which put forth a clear divide between sacred and the profane, creating a boundary across which Black performance cannot fully exist. And so here I'm thinking about the important notion of the flesh that we are grappling with through this exhibition. Literary theorist Hortense Spellers makes a distinction between body and flesh that separates captive and liberated subject positions, while the notion of the body relates to histories of Black captivity. Spillers offers flesh, even as wounded, seared, and ripped apart, as a primary narrative regarding Black people. The flesh is the concentration of ethnicity that contemporary critical discourses neither acknowledge nor discourse away. Experiences, aesthetics, and affect of Blackness are materialized through the flesh and reiterated over and over and over again throughout the African diaspora. So back to Oluwadu, who says, "We had no places of worship." And that's a statement that causes me to pause. I want to say that here in this moment, Equiano gives in to his sense of white men's magic. He concedes. And I offer that they did have places of worship, and the places of worship that they had were the place of the Black flesh as interior and exterior archive of Black performance. Consider particularly Robert Ferris Thompson in his study of Africanist religions. Think about his notion of the aesthetic of the cool as mask, the aesthetic of the cool as mask. The variety of masks in this exhibition underscore that flesh was the place of worship, of being, of subjectivity. The variety of aesthetics and materials, representations, purposes, and geographic and cosmological origins represented amongst the masks in the exhibitions, we know that the descriptions, what we have of the mask, is such a small fraction of the significance and the power of the masks. And so it opens worlds for us because of the great signifying and significance that these masks offer, or even don't offer, that they conceal in their materiality. Secondly, I want to offer, let us enter stage 2, which Wimbush offers a transfer of learning and power as scripturalization. So I invite you to consider with me one performance practice that exemplifies modernity in its clearest manifestations. Its history is in lockstep with the project of modernity and is very much a part of my background and flesh and blood. That performance practice is classical ballet. I would offer that modernity, with its violent colonialism, unfettered movement of capital, middle passage, and commercial trade in Africans, and its attendant anti-African, anti-Black global way of life, was a generous seedbed for the development of classical ballet. Ballet, like scripture, has a canon. Ballet offers persistent sites of performed scripturalization of the flesh, in which material white flesh is canonized. This scripturalization of white bodies has disappeared Black flesh. Like thousands of the commercial slave ships that sailed under the French flag and for the profit of the French and other European courts, Black flesh was unseen and invisibilized in ballet, in the origins of classical ballet. Some white bodies could be visible on those ships above deck, but underneath, Black flesh toiled, suffered, and tried to survive or not. Modernity's ongoing colonization and free labor force, particularly on the island of Saint-Domingue, now Haiti, made possible the lush life of the French courts, in which the seeds of the dance form were planted and nurtured. from Catherine de' Medici and her spouse, King Henri, to King Louis XIV, who himself was a noted ballet dancer who performed many roles, including his most famous, the Sun King in the Ballet de la Nuit. His lavish lifestyle included spectacular performances with many dancers, costumes, and even animals. His love of ballet fostered its elevation from his own personal hobby to that of the court, from amateurs to professionals. Classical ballet exists with us still, but the disappearance of Black bodies remains. So I have a PowerPoint, a brief PowerPoint. James, if you can post that. So I want to offer the transgression of that disappearing of Black bodies through looking at 20th century histories, particularly Arthur Mitchell and his work with New York City Ballet and his later founding of the Dance Theater of Harlem. So you can go forward, slide. So this is what's called a ballet blanc, white ballet. This is kind of a classic image of ballet. It's a classic look of ballet, and there is abounding whiteness on that stage. Slide. Here's another example of a white ballet. Everywhere you look, on the people, on the legs, on the feet, we see whiteness and do not see any sense of Blackness other than as a background. So, slide. This is a 21st century photo image from the School of American Ballet. And we see here that the whiteness is still present, but the line is broken. The line is broken by the presence of a Black dancer right in the middle. So in classical ballet technique, this is has been traditionally seen as unthinkable. The line could not be broken. It had to be a smooth, unending line throughout. And so now, in this time, Black dancers enter. Slide, please. So now we have this moment, and the man in the center of this picture is Arthur Mitchell. Arthur Mitchell was one of the first professional Black ballet dancers in the United States, first at New York City Ballet, and then he founded his own company, Dance Theater of Harlem. This is an iconic picture from 1969 at the founding of the Dance Theater of Harlem. You notice the tights, the shoes, pink, white, but we see afros, we see Black bodies, Black features, Black strength in the picture. Arthur Mitchell intervened and transgressed conventions to point toward Black performative possibilities. He unmasked the presence of Blackness. Black bodies were not disappeared anymore, but made fully present. Slide. Here's another picture of students at a lecture demonstration at Dance Theater of Harlem. Very different than the first student picture that we saw. We see the flesh, brown, in many shades, and we are changed. Bell Hooks asks the question, from what political perspective do we dream, do we look, create, and take action? I want to say that this ballet is a political perspective. Slide. So now, in these recent times and days, flesh tone has become a newly made idea, where flesh tone for ballet was synonymous with whiteness. Flesh tone now has taken on a difference and a variety. And so we see the shoes, there are also flesh tone tights as well. Slide. And this important piece of history, which we will end here, is a pas de deux that was choreographed by George Balanchine in 1957 for New York City Ballet. The flesh is masked here. So Black flesh, white flesh play in and amongst each other. So this is in 1957. It's 2 years after the lynching of Emmett Till. It's the same year that the US president sent the National Guard in to escort students into Central High School in Little Rock. But here on the stage in New York City, this pas de deux was danced with two beautiful ballet dancers, but with an interplay of skin. So we see how the flesh has been masked to a shocking effect, and there's much written about the shocking effect of this piece. I will actually stop there to say that the masquerade, the play element, is in the flesh of the Black dancing body.